Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello again. I'm your host, Namita Ramani, founder of About Digital, and your host for Successful Marketing Small Business Podcast. I said host twice. That's okay. I hope you guys are enjoying the shows. You've heard a couple of other podcasts. If you've not, please do tune into various other guests who are there. You can find them in the library of iTunes, or if you browse through the YouTube channel. And without further ado, I'm going to dive into today's beautiful, beautiful, colorful guest. Her name is Dr. Natalia Wyhosky. I hope I've said that right. Natalia is a very lively, colorful personality I have met recently through Forbes Council, and where we both are members of. And she started her career as a social scientist, turned into the Doctor of Philosophy. She's also host of a podcast in German called Think Natalia, and LinkedIn marketing coach, teaching small business entrepreneurs on generating leads through LinkedIn as a platform. With over 70,000 followers on LinkedIn, an award-winning keynote speaker, and Middle East leading edutainer, let's welcome together Dr. Natalia. Natalia, welcome.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, for the opportunity of being here and sharing a lot of insights and failures and hopefully inspiration with your audience.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. I've done actually a pre-podcast interview with Natalia, and she was so interesting. Their whole journey has been so amazing. I can't wait to, I'm going to hear them, everything with fresh ears, as if I've never heard it before. So please don't think that I'm hearing it again. Share as much as you can. Go as detailed as you can. Because it's all in the details, isn't
For
it?
sure.
The story's in the details.
Sounds good. Sign up for that.
So I would start with your background. You said you're Polish, but you're brought up in German. Let's go a little bit on your history. What do your parents do? Your mom, your father, where you come from?
Sure. So my parents are both from Poland, and in the mid 80s, early 80s, they decided to move to Germany. In the mid 80s, ta-da, I happened. So
Yes.
I grew up in Germany, and until kindergarten, I only spoke Polish, and I was socialized based on Polish values and Polish culture. Let's assume for a second that culture exists, because there are a lot of like, oh, what does culture actually mean? And there are people who write PhDs about what culture actually means. Let's put that aside. Polish culture, German culture, to make things easier.
Yeah.
And then once I went into kindergarten, I learned the German language and also German values. So when people ask me today, I say I'm a mix, I'm a human being. Like, I don't care, but I have a German passport. What do my parents do? My mom is a former competitive athlete. So she used to be a speed skater for the Polish Olympic team. So she's the go-to person who taught me everything about, you just do it. You didn't win today, well, maybe you win tomorrow. You need to work harder. You need to work smarter. You just, in German, we say, you fall down, you go up, you correct your crown, and you keep on walking, right? So that's my mom. My dad studied commerce, and he worked for a big international company for a very, very long time, then changed his career a little bit, and now lives in Poland with his new wife, supporting her and her business.
Awesome. So I think a lot of things that you do in your life now have been inspired by the upbringing, especially your mom, who's a sports person. So
Yeah.
I think sports teaches you a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a lot about
discipline, hard work, never give up attitude.
Yeah.
And that's reflecting in the way you're running your business, whatever different things you're doing, so many different things. And I'm going to dive into it soon. So you've done masters in arts from Germany, right?
Yeah, social science, but
Yes.
in English it's very often transferred as Master of Arts, yeah.
So sociology, communication, culture, and socialization.
Exactly.
So you think this education that you've done also has helped you to become the coach and the LinkedIn marketing expert that you have now?
Absolutely, because it taught me, number one, to question everything. So whatever answer, whatever fact, whatever idea is there, to distance from it and ask, is that actually true? What does that even mean? Because the truth doesn't exist. Why would somebody argue from this angle? It's all about also understanding a human being. So I learned a lot about active listening, about human behavior, about the behavior of human beings in groups, about, again, different cultures, about societies. And I always had a hate-love relationship with human beings. I think we're the most fascinating, most amazing things on this planet. And on the other side, I think we're the most stupid, most ignorant creatures that are just almost there to destroy because we don't get it.
True that, so true. I mean, we are unique creature on the planet who has a lot of deep brains, who has brains to understand things, and but then we are using our brains to kind of improve our life and with all the technology and stuff, but there's so many things we could do better to save our planet, for instance. So how did you get to Dubai? How did Dubai happen for you?
How did Dubai happen? So when I was studying, a lot of people said, when you're German, your English isn't that good. And if you want to have an international career, you need to work or live abroad for a few months, ideally a few years. And a few of my friends did that, and I observed them. And when I asked them when they came back, they said, "Oh, it was amazing. We were just partying hard, flirting, dating was cool." They spent a lot of money. They came back with a lot of debts, and they needed to study, I don't know, 1 semester, 2 semesters longer. And for me, that didn't sound exciting at all because I was a late bloomer. So I was not interested in partying hard. I was not interested in dating. I was not interested in finishing my studies and then having a lot of debts that I need to pay back. And finishing and studying longer, I thought, no way. So that was reason number one. Reason number two was I was on the highest level of my dance career. I used to be a soloist. I had a small group, was also a choreographer. I danced in a formation. At a later stage, I was also a background dancer for big, music shows in Germany with like 7,000 people being in the audience, me dancing on stage with international pop stars and rock stars. So I danced at a competitive level. That was the primary thing. So we trained up to 5-6 times per week. Yeah. And I loved it. That was my passion. And I knew that if I would give up dancing for living half a year or a semester abroad, I would hate myself if I was 50. So my mom is a person that whenever she said something, in a majority of cases, it somehow worked out. Yeah. So I realized, there's somewhat a power of words or belief or whatever. I didn't grasp it back then, but I saw what my mom did. So I was like, okay, dear universe, high five. I finish my studies 1 semester faster than the average person would. I continue dancing, but in return for that, you sent me my first job from abroad. I don't care where it is, but send me a job. And that's what happened. So I was writing, my master thesis. I was in the last semester, and my former life partner / boyfriend got the opportunity to work here in the UAE. And we weren't sure about UAE, yes or no. So he was here. He had a look at it. He thought it's amazing. I came here, had a look at it. I applied. I was chosen amongst the top candidates. I had an interview, and I got the opportunity to then accept. And I said, yes, let's do this. It sounds exciting.
But you could have made dance as your career. How come you didn't choose that?
I could have. But in my perception back then, the dancing industry was not interesting from a growth perspective. Because what do you do? So you're a dancer. Okay, how do you evolve? The next step might be becoming a choreographer. Again, in my perception, the field of choreography was something that was dominated by homosexual men. So I was like, so my career chances in there aren't that high. So what's an alternative? It would be having my own dancing school. Mm-hmm. Do I want to be the owner of a dance school? No. So I said, I make dance my hobby, my passion. Maybe at a certain stage in my life, I might go back to it, which is most probably by the end of this year. And but yeah, I said no. I wanna get paid for more using my brain, if I want to put it that way. And also being a dancer, the prestige isn't very high. I'm a person. I worked a lot on my ego. And I came to the realization that status is still important for me. It is something that I like. It's part of me. I try to eliminate it, get rid of it. It doesn't work. It's hammered into me. And the prestige of being just a dancer and the perception of others didn't feel right.
So the thing, what did you get in Dubai? You got the job or you got the university? I'm a little lost.
I got a job. So my first job was working for Abu Dhabi Education Council in Al Ain.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, on AUH. So as a marketing manager, you were working as a marketing manager for the...
No, I worked as a librarian.
Correct, library manager in AUH. And then you became marketing manager for SSI.
Exactly.
Sorry,
exactly.
I'm getting...
No worries.
Yeah, so let's go back to the library manager. That's interesting. So you were all surrounded by books all the time.
Yes.
Did you start reading them or what?
It was very funny because I actually applied for a library assistant role. Mm-hmm. And then it turned out that the library manager, which they actually wanted to hire, they canceled that role without telling me. So I then was made, like, my title wasn't manager, but they made me the manager of the whole
You're
thing.
doing all the manager duties.
Right? Exactly. And I was freaking out for a bit. I literally called my mom and I said, I'm not sure if I'm qualified for that. Like the person that I should be assisting and serving and helping, they just eliminated that job. So now it's all of my responsibility. I know a lot about books. I know how a library works, but people study that for 5 years. I don't know what to do. And she said, well, you know me, you know what I'm going to say. And I was like, okay, I have two options. Either I go for it and I give my best, or I say no and I go back to Germany. And I said, you know what, challenge accepted, let's do it. So I literally studied librarianship after my job.
That's how you learn.
Right? Exactly. And I met librarians and I interviewed them and I said, listen, help me with that. And after 3.5 years, I was super happy with the end result. I created a library that was not a typical library based on the standards that everybody would expect, but that would have never, ever fit to the requirements of the students that we had. We had people in there who were around, let's say, age 19. And it was a vocational education institute for Emirati students. So they learned about beauty and technology and computer science, but everything that they learned was in English. Now, being in Al-Ain, some of these people had amazing English skills, but some of them weren't able to talk fluently in 3.5 sentences. So, and some of them have never ever visited a library. They didn't understand the fact that you give a book, it's not a gift, you return it back. Mohammed, you return the book back after 2 weeks. Yes. Teacher, what do you mean? This gift? No. This is not a gift shop. This is not a book place. You return the book. So that was a learning curve. And we needed to order a lot of books that were on a level that was most probably a second or third grader. So somebody would be maybe, I don't know, age 7, 8, or 9. And I didn't care. And these students also didn't care because I said, it's all about you learning how to speak the English language. You know, you need to start with small steps, but how awesome is it if you can finish a book? Even if the book has just 30 pages and if it's written for a 6-year-old, if you finish this book within the next week, you're my hero. Do we have the deal? And a lot of people said yes.
I'll say yes.
Right? And this is how it goes. So instead of ordering these super complicated, thick textbooks that would just make people angry and frustrated, we said, we go back to the basics and we teach you where the gap was. And for me, it was a very, very rewarding
Seems
job.
like interesting.
Yeah. And I learned a lot.
And all your things that you've studied, the education you've had actually would have been already applied there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And then why did you decide to leave the librarian job and move to marketing as a marketing manager for the SSI Schiffer, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So after 3.5 years, my contract officially, ended.
Oh, okay.
And I had the opportunity to continue under different circumstances. And I was like, my job was to set up a library. And I achieved this target in my perspective. And now the next job would be to manage it. And I was like,
it can get boring.
Kind of boring and lame. Yeah. So there was an amazing gentleman who has been a librarian for a very long time, who was super happy for what I've created. So I handed it over. And Al-Ain is a phenomenal city.
Al-Ain or Abu Dhabi?
Al-Ain.
Okay.
Yet I was 23 when I was there. And I had the feeling that it didn't give me the circumstances, the environment that I wanted to. So once every week I would come to Dubai and just go to an amazing place with deep house music, or go to a huge mall, or meet more people in my age with similar goals and values.
You're missing the city life.
Right? Yeah. It's like, again, Al-Ain is beautiful, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it didn't met my values and the lifestyle that I wanted. So I said, well, I was 3.5 years in Al-Ain. If I would have gone back to Germany, I would have always looked at my time in the Middle East, when I'm 50, 60, 70, 80, I would have looked at it like, it was nice. It was financially very rewarding. I learned a lot, but I didn't fully live. I was just working on my PhD, learning about how to be a librarian, plus working as a librarian. And I didn't express myself. I didn't do stuff that people would do at the age of 23, just going out, clubbing, skydiving, being crazy. So I said, as a gift for myself, for making it through that, I gift myself with 1 year of Dubai. And I just wanted to be here for a year and just, again, enjoy the lifestyle. And I thought, nah, let's apply for a job.
Yeah.
And I got the job, as you said, being a marketing manager for SSI. And I did that for 2.5 years and learned a lot and really, really enjoyed it.
What exactly happened there that you then decided to quit and become a freelancer? Something happened in this place.
Yeah, exactly. So after 2 years, my team and I, we were on the covers of 3 leading industry magazines. You know, logistics and supply chain is a very male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
And I was there on the cover, surrounded by a 100% male team. I was the only woman on top, or like being on the cover. Then we won excellence awards, you know, in South Africa, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. I drove a fancy sports car. I was going to these parties that I told you. I was celebrating wild brunches, and I had all the makeup, all the shoes, and the handbags. I was, going on boat parties and whatever. So I had that lifestyle and that job and everything
that you always dreamt of.
That I always dreamt of. You know, it was, a lot of my friends said it was a little bit like Sex and the City, but in Dubai. And I looked at all of this and I realized, well, to be super honest, I don't feel successful at all. And I don't feel happy at all.
But you had everything.
I had everything, yeah.
And this is what you would dream of. You were dreaming of in a lane.
Exactly. But none of this made sense. And I became so empty and so tired. Like, I needed to drag myself out of bed. I wouldn't leave the house without drinking a caramel latte macchiato with extra caramel syrup and 3 chocolate croissants. I would be speeding to work just to feel something. I didn't care about the fines. And I was continuously just consuming food, consuming shoes. On the weekend, maybe drinking a little bit too much. And I said, that's not healthy. And I looked into the mirror and I said, well, to be honest, I don't respect the person that I see in the mirror. I think you're a joke. You're just wasting your life. You're zero inspiring. You're a zombie.
If you don't mind me asking, how was your relationship going on? Were you still in a relationship? You said you had come with your boyfriend, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that relationship ended after a year because we realized doesn't work. We want different things in life.
Okay. That was during the librarian job that it
Exactly.
Okay.
So I came to Dubai on my own.
Yeah.
And and I mean, the whole thing ended up with me being in a hospital twice per month with ridiculous pain. And I was sent to one doctor, another doctor, another doctor, another doctor, and they all said the same. We don't know what it is. But if you continue doing that, it will get chronic. Well, and then
it will result into a disease.
Yeah, maybe cancer, stuff like that. And I was like, well, I'm 29.
Still very young.
Exactly. But it didn't make sense. And I think on top of that, there was the pressure of the 30 coming up.
Oh, it was the
right? It was
the 30 is not the midlife crisis. The 40s is the midlife crisis.
So it's an early life crisis.
Probably just ending into the next number. You know, the trees are going to start now.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, at a certain stage, everything just so didn't make sense, and I didn't know what to do, and I felt so sorry for my life, and everything was just pain. It was pain. It was pain. It was pain. Everything, emotional pain, spiritual pain, physical pain. And at a certain stage, I literally gave up or surrendered, however you want to call it. So I said, well, I don't believe in God. I know I broke up with you 11 years ago. But if you're listening, I don't know what to do. I'm really lost and I need help. So thanks. So it was almost in such a way. And over the next days, I would be again zombie scrolling through Facebook and Instagram. And I saw this one post, and this one post said, the pain that you're going through is self-created. And I was like, wow.
This message is for me.
There you go. Thank you. Got it. So what did that mean? It meant that I was suffering not because of my job or my colleagues or my parents or my religion or my whatever. It's because of me. I have created that mess, so I need to clean up that mess. It's like, that's not what I wanted to hear, because it was so nice and so easy to blame other people and circumstances. So I now understood I need to take ownership for my life, and I need to figure out what I want and what happiness means to me and what success means to me. So I was excited while being incredibly scared. And then a few days after that, I saw another quote that was the second thing. It was Gandhi. And I know that people on the internet say, yeah, he never said that. And some people said, no, he said that. So let's assume that Gandhi said that. The quote was, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's so cool. I don't understand it, but I think I understand it. I don't know what to do with it. So cut a long story short, I quit my job. Said goodbye to 90% of my friends, locked myself away in my flat for 9 months, and I gave my best to unlearn everything that I've ever learned and to find out if I'm crazy, what crazy means, if I'm really too much, what that actually means, what happiness is, what success is, in what kind of job I would feel as if I can express all of my talent, and so many other things, like how do I want to improve the world? And is it bad if for me contribution and self-growth is more important than family and security? All of these things. So yeah.
And what were the answers? What is
were the
happiness?
answer?
What is success? Is it bad that you invest in your self-growth and not think about the family? I want to know the answers.
Sure.
Because 9 months is a long time. You locked yourself in a room.
Yeah.
And what about your bills and everything?
Sure. So when I worked in Al Ain, I was working and studying, so I saved up a lot of money. I didn't know where to spend it. And something told me on the inside that I will need that money for something. So I used to believe that I will take that money for a very prestigious MBA at an international business school. I decided against it in the end. So I had a bunch of money, and I knew that, I don't want to do the MBA, so what do I do with that? I decided to use it for my sabbatical. So during that sabbatical for 1 year, I didn't enter a mall. Like, I didn't go clothes shopping. I didn't go to any brunches, no cinema, movies, no travel. One
would go mad if you absolutely no social. You have nothing like that. That's like putting yourself in a jail, prison.
I saw it as a monastery.
Yeah, monastery. Sorry.
No, but some people would say prison and jail, and that was also the first impression for me in the beginning. And then I needed to learn. No, I'm creating my own monastery, divine or sacred space. And so I needed to learn how to not consume. I learned how to meditate. I started waking up at 5 o'clock. I learned a lot about NLP and how much victim language I was using. So I needed to change my language as well. I changed the way I eat, stopped coffee, stopped alcohol, stopped fast food, went more into cooking, and read, up to 5-6 books per week, either, listening to them or reading them, and studied all of these people from all around the world and their version of happiness, their version of success, their dream job, entrepreneurship. And, I came to the realization that happiness and success are very individual concepts. And the majority of people don't have the guts to dig deep enough and to find their own answers. And that's the reason why the majority of people live mediocre life and are unhappy. And because of that, they get sick. First, their soul gets sick, or their vibration, their energy. And then if you suffer long enough, it gets physical.
Yeah.
And it's all your soul trying to knock at your door of awareness saying, hey, do what I told you to do. I just want to have fun and express myself.
These messages that you get on Instagram while you're scrolling, they are for you to hear.
Exactly.
Act on it.
Exactly.
It's not by chance you land upon those messages. I take these messages very seriously as well. And it's so weird that every time I have a question or a thought or something I'm looking for or seeking out, suddenly I get this post. And I'm like, yes, that's the answer. Thank you. I understood what's the next step.
Right? There you go.
It's just you have to be aware. I think awareness is, and I understand that this 9 months gave you, this is what you unlearned, how to not indulge and how to take care of self and your body. And that's how you gave birth to Think Natalia.
Exactly. Yeah. So after just a few months, I realized that my PhD was frustrating me because I needed to write in a super political correct way, no humor, no stories, nor emotions. But I am humor, I am stories, I am emotions. And when I suppress that, I just turn gaga in my head. It just needs to get out of my system. because alternatively, I don't know what to do with that energy.
Yeah.
So I needed a filter, a bucket, a container to nourish that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how, and then for some reason, I learned about this thing called blogging. I was
Yeah.
like, what is blogging? What is a blog? So I read more about it, and I decided I need to create my own blog. So I started the Think Natalia blog in 2015. And for me, it was a mix between therapy and giving my best to add value to the world and to shape it in a way how I would like it to be shaped. And I talked to other people during my journey of transformation, and a lot of them said, that's so inspiring, that's so nice, I never thought about it that way. So I said, whenever somebody said something like this, let me create a post around it. And in the beginning, of course, nobody cared, no likes, no comments, no nothing. But I had studied Gary Vaynerchuk long enough to know that I just needed to hang in there. And that's what I did.
Yeah, I've heard this Gary V name almost 50% of the podcast. All our guests do listen to Gary V.
Hashtag goals.
Yes. And but blogging, usually takes long time, like you rightly said. While you was 9 months in this little shell and monastery of your own, was that the solution that came out, that I need to start a blog? Like, I'm sure you're seeking answers to what am I supposed to do? What kind of contribution am I supposed to do to the planet? And did you, in those 9 months, already knew that you're going to launch a podcast or get into blogging, or how you're going to serve? How did that come about then? How that materialized to what you're doing now?
Sure. So it was literally, I always say I failed myself up to my dream life. So I realized at a certain stage, okay, I want money, but I need money. And I didn't want to work full-time somewhere. So for me, it was a logical consequence that I need to freelance somehow. And a friend of mine said, you have a pretty face. I think it's good for commercial photography. So why don't you start to model? I was like, okay. I did that. And so that was one way of making money. And I realized that whenever we were having these shoots, I was more than a model. Like whenever somebody was down, I lifted them up. I made sure that the whole team was high on energy, and we talked about deep things, and everybody just felt so uplifted, and they were laughing a lot, and it felt great. And I thought, well, I don't want to be mean, but I think I'm more than just a model, for lack of better expression. But I liked it. I liked the camera. I was like, that one, we need to spend more time together. But I didn't know how. But I learned this is nice. And for some reason, then somebody approached me on LinkedIn from a big publication, a yoga magazine. And they said they need somebody who can copyright, but also knows a lot about social media. And they had the perception I do that. So I joined, and I wrote articles, and I edited articles for a yoga magazine, and I helped them a little bit with the social media channels. And I realized this writing thing is nice, but I want to write about the stuff that is nice for me. And social media, it's too broad. And Instagram was nice, but Facebook, okay. YouTube, I was like, I'm not touching video. I hate videos. I don't know how to speak in full sentences, forget it. So the only thing that was left was LinkedIn. So I spent more time on LinkedIn. And there were all of these opportunities that whenever it was there, I said, yes, let me do that. Let me experience it. Let me then understand what is it that I like, what is it that I don't like. And I literally created an Excel sheet with all of the jobs that I did, paid and unpaid. And I wrote down what's the fun factor, how much money do I make with that, and what else. And I looked at it after, 6 months or something, and I said, okay, modeling, nice, but no. Copywriting, nice, but no. And from all of that, what in the end ended was like a LinkedIn consulting something and writing. And this is this is how it evolved, step by step. Coincidence by coincidence.
And then you created this digital program. You do the coaching program. You offer the coaching program. This is why small business owners. Why not individuals and people who, like anybody, who are doing jobs? Why did you choose this niche?
Well, because, when they say focus on your passion and you need to scratch your own itch with your business, something that annoyed me since day one when I was self-aware was there are people out there who have no knowledge at all, but they're just great at selling themselves. And they're scammers, and they have a lot of money. And then on the other side, there are some beautiful creative individuals, artists, dancers, small business owners, people who create stuff out of their heart, out of their passion. And they don't know how to market themselves, and they are struggling. They cannot pay their bills. And that just created so much anger and frustration in me. And I said, I need to teach these creative, amazing, huge, wholehearted people how to market themselves. I need to teach myself first, and if it works, I'm going to teach them. And this is in the end what I'm doing. So every person that I work with today is, yes, interested in making money, but these people also want to contribute to a better world. They want to make society a little bit better. They have a total super creative side, like singing, dancing, knitting, cooking, being the most amazing mom on this planet. So they balance male and female energy in an amazing way. Yeah. And these are the people that I also want to spend time with. For me, it's like every client, if that person couldn't turn into a friend, I don't want to work with them.
Mm-hmm. So, I run a digital agency, as you know, and we know what goes into creating a training program, a coaching program, and what goes into selling one, kind of convincing someone to believe in a digital program. You have a digital program, as I understand.
Yeah.
Convincing someone to believe in the program, go through the program, learn from it, benefit from it. It's a process. You had to. You are not a digital marketer. You've not done any education. No. So you learned this somewhere. Where did you learn it? When you started implementing things, what didn't work for you, and how did you make it work then?
Sure. So I started very traditionally with one-on-one coaching because I understood I need to make the mistakes first. Yeah. I need to understand my clients, and I read a lot about coaching, NLP, and I mean my social science background was amazing, and I coached a lot of people one-on-one, and at a certain stage I realized it's amazing, but it's zero scalable, and I don't want to work like this until the end of the rest of my life. So at a certain stage I then hired a consultant who then helped me with scaling that into group coaching. So I had the courage to ask for help. I read every article, watched every video, read every book that I needed to read, and then implemented bit by bit. And if I didn't understand, again, I asked other people for help, because I understood that the difference between people who are really happy and successful in what they do is, and those people who somehow don't succeed, is they don't accept no for an answer. It's like, you don't understand it? Well, then find a solution. Yeah, but I don't know. Find a solution. Yeah, but not today. Well, then tomorrow. And if you don't like it tomorrow and you procrastinate it once again, get a coach, because apparently you have an energy block. Or if there's the lame excuse, again, get a therapist. I don't care. It is your life, and you very likely only live once, at least, on this body and this planet.
Yeah.
So, why would you play small? Why wouldn't you go all in? If you don't do that, you don't fully believe in yourself. So go back to the basics, eliminate all of those limiting beliefs, all of the stuff that stands in your way towards greatness, and then go for it.
And then how did the podcast happen? And why only in Germany? German, sorry.
Yeah.
Not Germany.
So, very long story. Where do I start? I want to cut it a little bit shorter. So I have a friend who's also a coach, and he told me about a German sales coach who is the best in the region, in Germany. And he happened to fly through Dubai. And I was like, well, it's always good to know people, you are the person that you associate yourself with. So I studied his social media channels, and I realized he is awesome, but his LinkedIn profile, not so much. And I'm a big believer in don't approach people out of the perspective of I want, you give me, you owe me. That's never going to work. But I approach people from an angle of, hey, how are you? I know it sounds crazy, but I studied your social media profiles. I think you're doing excellent. If there's one thing that I could improve, it would be on LinkedIn. Why don't we meet for coffee and I share everything that I know about LinkedIn with you? That's what I did. I got a yes. And we talked about God and the world and everything. And literally 5 days later, I got a message from that gentleman. And he said, Natalia, I have this huge event in Germany. It's in Munich. It's 1,000 people. I need a moderator. Could you do that? Because you're a keynote speaker. And I'm like, well, I'm not a moderator, and it's German, and I'm out of Germany for, it was 10 years then. And I said, I'm not sure, but if I can deliver a keynote as well in German on LinkedIn, yes. So then there were 10,000 changes, and the universe did crazy things. But in the end, I moderated it, and I delivered my keynote, and the German audience fell in love with what I do. They said, you're nuts. Where have you been? We want more of you. And one thing that I've learned is that when you want to create content for a new audience, the best tool to step into a new market is a podcast. And that's the same thing that the gentleman said. He said, you need a podcast. You need a German-speaking podcast, and you need to launch it within the next 3 months. And I was like, but I did it. And the first episodes were horrible. I was sweating, I was shivering, because I haven't spoken German for almost 10 years. I mean, I speak it with my mom, with my brother.
God, it happens to everyone, not just me.
Oh man, I use so much English words, but people liked it. It was funny. And a lot of people actually think I'm Canadian, not German. Hilarious.
Interesting. And then regarding, you have about 70,000 followers on LinkedIn. That is a lot of followers to gather. And I know there's a story behind it. And I would love for you to share the story, the perfume story.
Sure.
Is that the one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I said I experimented with Instagram, with Facebook, and I realized these are not really my platforms, because I just got comments that weren't that showed me that people were looking at the pictures and not reading the message. And I realized, well, there needs to be another platform, and I decided for LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, again, I experimented. I gave my best to write articles, to do status updates, and I just went for it. Although a lot of people criticized me, and they said, well, what you do is Facebook, what you do is Instagram, this is unprofessional. I said, I don't care. I need to find my voice, because I have the feeling I still can't express myself in a proper way. And there was this one post that went viral. Yeah. And it is about a true story that happened. So it's about me who woke up one day, and I was very busy and I needed to go to work. And I have these 2 perfumes, and one perfume is for everyday life and one perfume is for special occasions. It was the end of the year, and I accidentally grabbed the special occasion perfume, and I held it in my hand. And the moment I held it, it was incredibly fast, and I got this huge stomach cramp and adrenaline rush that rushed through my body. And I realized, wow, what just happened here? And I learned by then I need to reflect on, emotions and what my body's going through. And I realized it's the end of the year. That bottle is so heavy. That means
you've never used it.
I never used it. That means the last, 350 days or so were not special. And I thought, what a waste of life. How am I treating myself? This is horrible. So I literally grabbed the bottle of the everyday perfume, I threw it away, and I made an active decision and a commitment towards myself that every day will be special from now onwards. And today I only have one perfume, the very special occasion perfume. And well, that story inspired, I don't know, I think I had over 20,000 likes on that post and 900 comments. And that literally helped me growing from 3,000 to 18,000 followers. And then 3 months after that, another post went viral with over 60,000 likes, and don't ask me how many comments. And that helped me then growing from 18,000 to 30,000 followers, or connections. And in the last years, it was literally like once video came on LinkedIn, that was also a game changer. So I was one of the first people who jumped on video. And again, totally sweating, shivering, not knowing what to do. Yeah. But by then I understood that whenever a social media channel brings out a new tool, you get so much more reach. Yeah. So you needed to experiment with it. Yeah. So I did that. And then today I'm also one of these people who have LinkedIn Live. And that's also something that not a lot of people do or have. Okay. And because of that, I built this international community of 70,000 plus people today.
So how does this entire thing become a business?
Good question. So in the beginning, I followed Gary Vaynerchuk by not monetizing at all. So it was just creating content, and believing in a higher force or in the goodness or karma or whatever. And it was okay. It was good. So people would approach me for coaching. And then I built a one-on-one coaching program around that. And people would also approach me for keynotes at a certain stage and workshops. And that went well for a very long time. And then I realized, again, I need a system behind that. I just can't depend on the LinkedIn algorithm and the...
to run your business
right,
and your
exactly.
life. Yeah.
It's just...
and they keep changing.
Exactly. Or on the behavior of people, because what if they don't go... Like if they don't use LinkedIn, they don't see me. Yeah. So again, I invested in a consultant who helped me, and we built a lead generation system around it, which is systemized. I have now a team member who helps me with sales calls. We started using, advertising on different platforms. So that's one element. And then I also realized that the keynotes are also something very lucrative. So that's something that also is part of the business. And the third element is being a LinkedIn Learning author. So LinkedIn approached me and asked me if I don't want to become a LinkedIn Learning author. So for this year, I have 6 more courses planned, but they will be all in German.
So you create courses for LinkedIn, for their website on how to use LinkedIn.
Not only LinkedIn. It's basically, so when you have a premium account on LinkedIn, you have access to LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is a platform that basically includes a lot of online courses about any topic. And you can watch them and learn about it from people from all around the world. It's available in different languages. And so it's a great
you get paid for that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As per how many people use the...
Exactly. So generally first for creating the script and then being there and filming the whole thing. And then also based on how many people actually watched the online course.
Yeah. So what if a small, one of the things that you teach in your LinkedIn, and I watch a lot of your LinkedIns as well as it comes in my feed. What if a small business owner or entrepreneur, or whoever you suggest, you recommend CEOs or the face of the brand to go online and talk on camera and share about their values and their services and everything? What if someone is not comfortable in front of camera? What should they do?
Aren't. I think nobody that I know woke up one day and said, wow, the camera, we need to have this thing. Like, I feel it. I think public speaking is, and most probably will be, always one of the biggest fears that we have, because we're afraid of being judged, and we're literally in the spotlight, and all of the light and the people and the views
trust
are
me,
on
I
us.
am.
Right?
Look at this.
Right?
Yeah.
So it feels alien. It feels weird. So start with small steps. I started with Toastmasters International. They're the world's biggest nonprofit organization when it comes to becoming a great communicator, public speaker, and leader. And I signed up and I committed to delivering 2 keynotes per month. And I did that for 1.5 years.
In Toastmasters.
In
group.
Toastmasters, exactly. And after that, I got my first speech. So I don't know how many hours I was writing a script and changing a script and training it in front of the mirror at home, talking to the wall, talking to the plant, talking to my, I don't know. But this is the only way how you learn.
Yeah.
And video is such a powerful tool. I mean, there's so many studies that say by 2025 or something, 80% of all social media content will be video. So, I mean, if you like it or not, sooner or later you need to face it. And through video, you can build such a stronger connection to your audience, because I see your body and I see your mimics, and I have a better understanding of who you are and what you do. Because I believe we human beings are very judgmental, and part of it is pure biology, and part of it is, socialized, because we need to know within a split second, danger, or maybe somebody I want to reproduce myself with. That's subconsciously built into us, no matter how enlightened or how evolved you are. Yeah. And when you look in a specific way, we put people into boxes. So you won't believe how often I heard people say, oh, when I saw you, I was like, so nice. Does she also have a brain? So people, when they see me, especially when I have my hair open and blonde and curly and I remove the glasses, I know what the first impression is. And I would also put myself into that box. That's the reason why I wear these glasses and why I put my hair back and up and together whenever I want to, show people that I'm a business owner. In my private time, I can the blonde, girly, curly hair. Yeah. But in business, this is the business side of me. And a lot of people are like, wow, you have such a deep voice. I thought it would be so much higher. They would have never ever known about my voice or the fact that I can speak in full sentences and clearly. And this is what we need in order to perceive somebody as a leader. So, I mean, face your fears. Go and start, don't start doing videos, but start public speaking. Once that is done, I always say start with Instagram stories. 15 seconds, everybody can do that. After 24 hours, it's gone. You can just send it to your friends list so it's not out in the internet. And that's how you learn.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Maybe some of us can try that.
Exactly.
I'm going to try that. So how does Natalia envision the future? How do you dream big? Like, how do you dream
How do
for
I dream?
future?
Yes. So my future or the world in general?
We can talk about both. We can start with yours.
Sure. So I realized that what I'm doing right now is wonderful and I love doing it, and it gives me a lot of happiness and joy and even satisfaction in seeing the transformation of my clients, and when they face their fears and when they start with like, I'm never going to do a video, from this to turning into a content machine and getting speaking gigs and being on stages and generating leads and becoming like literally the go-to expert in their niche, because this is what I teach them. So what do you need to do in order to become the personal brand in your bubble? That's amazing. And since I did so much self-work on who am I, where do I want to go, I realized over the years that I have this, I don't know how I want to call it, the clown or something, a firecracker in me, and it needs to express itself. And I didn't know how to do that. So I started with my LinkedIn Lives and with my video content, and I just started to add more humor to it. And people, and also the podcast, and people are laughing so much. And then I realized that I love transformations, but what I love even more is when I see the teeth of people, when they're laughing and when they just get like pain in their belly, and I see all of that negative energy just disappearing because they finally lean back and laugh, and using humor to talk about topics that are usually taboo or haram. That just gives me so much pleasure. So I said, I need to find a new shape, form, container in order to express that. So in the near future, I want to continue doing what I do. In the long-term future, I want to fully indulge into the edutainer that I am. So how will it express itself? I don't know. Most probably it will be a mix between a stand-up comedian, a social critic, and I might even combine the dancing into it. I don't know. That's what it feels like right now. But I learned over the last years that you don't need to know how, as long as you have a feeling how it feels, as long as you daily manifest in the quantum field what it is, how you want to feel. Yeah. And the rest will somehow appear, as long as you keep on being positive and work on things that matter, that are close to your heart.
So I understand you dream a lot, you visualize a lot. You believe in powerful visualization.
Absolutely.
And quantum physics and thinking different planes and everything.
Yep.
Another podcast for that conversation, because this is not the platform for that. But I would love to dig deeper into maybe over a coffee on this topic. We chose to move to Prague. You're leaving Dubai. Why Prague?
Why Prague? So I had a look at all of my clients over the last 6 to 8 months, and I realized that's so weird. They changed. So the majority of them either come from Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia, Croatia, Sweden, Poland. And I said, what am I doing here? Why am I here? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. And my family lives in Germany and Poland. And especially as I'm going to work so much with LinkedIn in Graz, which is Austria, this year, I said, I need to move to Europe, and I don't know where. And I drew all of these dots on a Europe map. And I said, well, the country that is in the middle of all of this is Czech Republic. Like, why can't I see? Thank you, I finally saw. So I visited Prague last year in December, and I've been there for a week, and I absolutely loved it. It's an international city, so you have this international community vibe like Dubai. The costs of living are relatively low compared to, for example, Amsterdam or Berlin. It has a little bit of this Eastern European vibe, which reminds me of home, because again, my parents are from Poland. And it is incredibly open-minded. So I don't know, if I, for example, really want to go more into being the social critic, I could talk about topics that might not be the best topics to talk about in the UAE when I want to respect the UAE culture, right? Yeah. After all, this is a Muslim country. It is a phenomenal country. It is very, very tolerant. And as every country has a set of rules. And I believe that if you live in a specific culture, you need to respect the rules. Yeah. And if you can't respect the rules for whatever reason, then leave.
Yeah.
And this is the conclusion that I made. So yes, I will be still in Dubai, but I'll definitely spend more time in Prague. And when I will be in Prague, I'll talk about sex, drugs, politics, and rock and roll.
Looking forward to that one as well. Before I move to the last few questions, I want to talk about the color theory that you spoke about when we started. It was a very interesting concept on how you choose always these vibrant, beautiful, bright colors. Please share with us your idea behind choosing these bright colors.
So everything that I learned from a wonderful lady called Fatma Al-Shiravi. She's the Middle East leading color consultant living here in Dubai. And she was actually a client of a friend of mine. And she needed some help with public speaking. And I was just fascinated by what she did. So she taught me so much about color psychology and the power of color. And she had a look at my body shape, and she had a look at my eyes and my skin. And she put on all of these different color patches on me. And I could see, while she was putting different colors next to my face, how my face would either age by 5 years or how there would be more brightness and color. And I was like, this is crazy. This is weird. And based on that, she created a color palette for me. And I learned which colors symbolize which energy. And now that I know that, I use it in order to transport a specific message, or also to lift up my spirit. So for example, let's say that I wake up and that I'm high on energy. Like I'm like, whoa, I don't know what to do. I just, it needs to get out of my system. But I have a meeting with, let's be totally cliche, 4 gentlemen in their 60s who are very conservative, who work in corporate. So if I show up there in a color like yellow or pink or red, that will not work. Like I will kill them with my energy. I'll be like, and they'll be like, ugh. Yeah. So there will be a lot of, that it won't match. It won't vibrate. So that job, I definitely won't get it. So in order to lower my frequency, I would go for a dark blue, which is still a little bit of blue expression trust, but it's, if I, for example, have a keynote speech in front of 800 students at the age of, I don't know, early 20s, if I show up in black, they're going to eat me alive. Like I can't cope that energy. So I need to go there in a vibrant color, like for example, yellow, which is all about happiness, right? So in this way, I also signal the mood that I'm in. Today I'm in green. Green, heart chakra. I think is also because I've spent just the last week with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's all about opening your heart and dig deeper. It's like, I haven't cried so much. It was great. And you also said it's all about speaking from the heart. So it's like, let's wear green in order to really speak from the heart. Yeah. And but you can also use it when, for example, when you feel tired, when you feel down, and you want some energy. So wear something red, touch something red, even eat something red, like a tomato or strawberries. I know it sounds crazy, but for me it works. Yeah. And it worked for so many other people.
It's so weird. As you're sharing this concept, I have already started applying this. Like even when I choose my outfits for the podcast, and I know what will match with the guest. And it's just, I was telling Louise today as well on this. So very interesting how colors play such an important role when you're going for meetings, or even how you feel, even the foods. Absolutely agree. I'm going to meet the color consultant that you spoke about. I want to talk about your trip or your visit to the retreat of Dr. Joe Dispenza. How was it? And if you would like to share some insights on exactly what did you learn and how it's going to help you in your personal and professional life.
Sure. So it was an amazing event, 1,400 people from all around the world. The majority of them were UAE, Germany, and US. Mm-hmm. For me, I had read one of his books and I started a little bit the guided meditations, and I didn't know much what to expect. I think he's a great lecturer. Like if you are a public speaker, man, you need to study his work and how he uses hooks and anchors to bond with the audience. The first day, I was not taking much notes on the content, but much on, this is what he does. I need to implement that into, that's my next workshop. So seriously, really, really very charismatic and funny, but very professional. So I was like, good. For me, it was incredibly insightful because like one day, for example, we meditated 4.5 hours in one go.
Session, yeah.
For me, I thought, like 5 years ago, I couldn't sit still on my but for 2 minutes. And now we meditated for 4.5 hours. So that showed me a lot about what we can do. We worked a lot on opening our heart, which is something that was or used to be very challenging for me. I am a very head connected person. I mean, that's what my brand is called, Think Natalia. So it's all about doing and pushing and going harder. It's not so much about leaning back and feeling. So a few times I really allowed myself to fully open, to cry tears of joy, especially when we manifested things. What I also found very, very interesting, he is like one of, that's how I perceive it. He is very interested in healing other people. So he has this coherent healing sessions. And he believes that we all are healers. And in the beginning I was like, I'm not sure if I believe that.
I believe that,
Not sure. But what I have seen after these 3 days was insane. Like, there's no way how to explain that. There were people who literally couldn't, move their arm higher than this. And then after one session, they were like, whoa. There were people who couldn't swallow. And after a healing session, they were like, do you see this date? It's huge. I'm not going to chew it and I'm going to swallow it. And they did it. And we all were just crying because it's so beautiful. These people had these problems for so many years. Do I understand all of this from a theoretical level? Not 100% sure. But my key takeaway is that we are so much more powerful
than we think
that we are. Our power as a human being, the mind, our visualization, our feelings, our heart, we are supernatural when we know how to tap into that. But in order to go there, you really need to start doing the self-work. And I believe that life turns us into an onion. So you need to
peel off the
peel.
layers.
And the closer you peel an onion, what will happen? You'll start crying. And a lot of people will stop because they think crying is weak or it's something that only girls do or whatever. So, I mean, peel, cry, surrender. I know it's tough. And it's still tough for me, and it will be tough. I'm far away from where I could be, but my goal is to work on it every day and to open a little bit more every day. And I mean, imagine we all would do that.
But I also know that you are into you have done Vipassana course, and I'm into Vipassana meditation. I've shared that many times. And I feel that his way of meditation is very much kind of adapted from, it has a Vipassana related technique or a methodology, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I've not been to his retreat yet. I do plan to be to one. I love his books. I absolutely love and adore his work. So soon. But it was wonderful to hear your feedback and review. And I understand books are your mentors. You've learned a lot from books when you locked yourself in 9 months in this room. Which is one of your favorite book that you would give as a gift to others?
Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul.
Okay. I love his other book, which is the Stillness something. I forgot the name of the book. Yeah.
I don't know. But that one is great because, again, in my old self was a very, very head-centered person or mind-centered person. So the inner judge would be incredibly loud. So what Michael does is he helps you develop a sort of frenemy relationship with your mind. So you understand you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. That thing is there. You need it somehow, because of your ego and to achieve things in life. But don't judge yourself on being it. Don't take it seriously. Laugh about it. But in the end, learn how to manage your mind, because you will never ever be able to control it. It's about managing, and it's about finding that space. It's like, you're good until here. Whoop, now I take over. So that was incredibly helpful for me. Yeah.
His book was, by the way, The Surrender Experiment.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite books as well. I started implementing the book the minute I read it, and I swear to God, it's done magic in my life. Highly recommend everyone reading The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer and The Untethered Soul. I'm going to put that in my next your favorite podcast apart from your own?
Ooh, favorite podcast.
Do you listen to other podcasts?
Yes, every now and then I listen to other podcasts. I'm thinking, I like the Dan Lok podcast, but also Frank Kern is a pretty loose nut. Those two gentlemen taught me a lot about the art of being themselves and sales, for sure.
Frank Kern, I've heard about him a lot in the digital marketing world as well. He's a speaker
He's so
there.
funny. Follow him on Instagram. You'll be like, ugh.
Really? That's the next
He's
follow.
hilarious.
Do you journal?
I do a mix. So I have these Moleskine diary since, I don't know, 2009 or something. So literally by now I have like something like this. I don't know what to do with them, but they're there. So what I do is in the beginning of the day, I visualize, I manifest, I start like this, I meditate, and then I have a look at my to-do list. At the end of the day, I go through all of the things that I've worked on. I ask myself what was good, what was bad, where can I become better. If there was any beautiful thought, any kind of cool event, I might also take a card or a sticker or whatever and glue it into that. And at the end of the day, I do a to-do list for the next day. So this is my sort of
Ritual,
routine,
like a
ritual,
daily ritual.
which is a little bit like journaling, but not like, dear diary, today was a good day. No.
I was just talking to one of the guests the other day. I used to journal only when I was sad, back in the days, not anymore. Now I started journaling every day, and I put all what I think about, good and bad.
Yeah.
But this year in 2020, and as I was cleaning my closet and my wherever I keep my journals, and I started reading them back, I started crying because I've just written my sad moments. I'm like,
exactly.
what the hell? This year is going to be everything. It's going to be sad, good, bad, great. Everything is going to come in the journal. So I make a conscious effort to write every day, and not just when I'm sad. But it's very, very important, I feel, to kind of put your thoughts down somewhere and release them. Last question. What is the one question that still worries you, if at all it does?
I don't think worry, because that's a thing or a trait that I give my best to put aside. The question that I ponder a lot about is how can we help human beings to connect deeper to their true self? Because if we all would just be a little bit nicer and kinder to ourselves, we wouldn't create so much damage in our life and in other people's life and in other countries and on the planet and to animals and to the whole thing. So how can we, teach emotional intelligence and emotional hygiene and listening to your gut feeling, and that happiness, forget happiness, go for true joy.
Yeah.
How can we do that? Do we start in kindergarten? Should be meditation mandatory? Should we all just throw our TVs away and our cell phones? How can we make that in the easiest possible way and in a rewarding way? Because it means pain. A lot of people are afraid of pain. So how on earth do we do that? Because I believe, again, if everybody would work a little bit more on him or herself and reconnect to that soul, source, divine, however you call it, it would be so much easier. And so much more fun, and so much more creation, and less of the struggle and pain.
I so agree. Whenever I've been to a couple of Vipassana retreats, one as a student and a couple others as a server, I mentioned in our conversation. And every time, even though I'm serving, I would meditate about 5 to 6 hours a day. And when you finish the retreat, Natalia, like because during the meditation you go within, you go deeper, and you learn you go through different parts of the body, you feel the sensations. And you suddenly you connect so much deeper to yourself, and you have this sense of kindness for yourself and every other thing around you. Every living being, you want everybody to be safe. Even the ant, you don't want to kill an ant after you come out from a meditation retreat. That's how you feel kind. You feel kind about every organism on the planet. And I think the answer is going quiet, being still, reflection, going deep, understanding yourself. And that's how you learn to be kind to yourself and to others, I guess. But it's a process, it's a journey. Everybody's on their own journey, and it should come. Any closing thoughts you would like to tell our audience, how to find you, how to work with you?
Sure. So the best way how to find me or connect with me is literally on LinkedIn or Instagram. And if somebody wants to work with me, I don't know if we can work together, because a lot of people are like, oh, Natalia, can you help me? It's like, I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be living here in this life, because that would mean I could look into the future. So I need to have a conversation with somebody first.
Yeah.
And so I always say, just simply book a call with me. The easiest way to do that is via coachingwithnatalia.com. We have a look at where you are right now, what you want to achieve. And then based on that, I can tell you if I'm the right person, yes or no. Because sometimes people approach me and what they truly need is therapy. And I said, I'm not a therapist. Or some people want, an optimization of their sales funnel. I'm like, what I do is more personal branding. So sales is part of it, but I'm not an expert in sales funnel optimization. Yeah. So this is why I'm a big fan of, again, a conversation. Can be just 10 minutes, but then based on that, I can guide people to the right expert, or I say, welcome to the tribe.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for making time and coming and sharing all this amazing information.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you. I think it was a beautiful conversation. Had heaps of fun, and I'm looking forward to the feedback of your community.
Definitely. Thank you again. And thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you have any questions from Natalia, please ask us using the comment box below from whichever channel you're watching or listening to this. And looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a good one.